It's time to take a ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive with our co-hosts, Alan Saunders and Zachary Smith.
Welcome into another episode of Steelers Afternoon Drive. I'm Zachary Smith. That is Alan Saunders. Alan, how are we doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Dylan, you able to dip and dive through the raindrops? Don't know if you had to step outside at all, but it's been pretty crappy weather all day. So
you know what? I had to take my daughter to school this morning, and I came back and it was raining. And I got back in the house, and my dog is laying on the couch, like looking at me like, "We're not going outside today. Like, just grab a blanket, buddy. Come sit down. Like, the two of us, we're not leaving this couch for like another 5 or 6 hours." And you know what? I'm pretty sure he's still there right now. So
love it. I accidentally had this window literally right beside me open for a bit. And I was like, the wind and thunderstorm sounds a little bit louder for some reason than I feel like it should. And then I got some water on me. And I was like, oh, the window's open. So there we go. Anyways, we got some good questions that we have yet to get to that I promised that we were going to get to. Obviously had the excellent conversation with Gareth Warren yesterday on the podcast. If you missed that, be sure to go back and check that out. Really cool story. Certainly going to be rooting for him. And going into the episode, did not know that he grew up a Steelers fan. I think that just adds to the context as well and why it's so easy to root for him. But I promised Brooklyn and Devin that we would get to their questions today. Still going to do so, but you know what? We're going to make you wait even a little bit longer because let's talk about some stuff that came out of these owners' meetings today first now. And I think the big one that everybody's going to talk about, something that we thought would get banned going into this just based off the conversation that was happening, the tush push was not. It stays at least for another cycle until we get back to these things again. Will be part of the 2025 NFL season. One, what is your take on the play itself, I guess? And also, are you surprised based off the conversation that was kind of surrounding it that it wasn't banned?
I mean, I don't have a problem with people doing things that are within the rules to try to gain an advantage. I think the Eagles are really good at it. I think it's hard. I think lots and lots of teams have showed us that it's not this like gimmick play that just anybody can do. The Eagles are very clearly very good at it. They have a great offensive line. They have a big, strong, tough, athletic quarterback. It's not easy. It's not like it's a cheat code. It's something they've really worked at. And I don't like single-handedly targeting one team for being good at something with a rule. I think that's a bad precedent to set. I understand that the idea of pushing and pulling players has been in and out of the NFL rulebook over the years. I thought there was a chance when they broadened the change to sort of just go back the way the rule was before that it would pass, because then it does seem a little bit less targeted, but like we all know what was happening. Like we all know they were targeting the Eagles, and this was very specifically targeting the Eagles, who just won the Super Bowl by, yes, in part with the tush push, but like that's not why the Eagles win the Super Bowl. Like it smacks of like jealousy and anti-competitiveness, and I don't like any of it. I also really bothers me that the league put forward the idea that this was for player safety when there's absolutely no evidence of this play being dangerous in any way or more dangerous than any other play in any way. I like, we all know the league only pretends to care about player safety anyway. But like, it's just very nakedly being used as an excuse to do something they want to do for other reasons here. And I think that really bothers me. It should really bother the union. I don't know why the union didn't flip out about the NFL saying we want to get rid of this play because of player safety when literally no player has ever been injured by it.
So did it surprise you though, just because it seemed like there was like a pretty massive wave of like even reporters and stuff that were kind of surrounding this, saying that they thought it was going to be banned? Did it surprise you that it wasn't?
I mean, it was close. I thought it would be close. I wouldn't say I was surprised that it wasn't, but Jason Kelce will have on his resume forever now that he is the man.
I wonder how much that swung things.
They preserve the right of other men to put their hands on another man's butt while playing football. You are only allowed to do that because of Jason Kelce.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. It's one of those things, and anytime that I like stand somewhere in the middle, I'm always like, I wish I did lean, because it's kind of boring to say, and there's probably people in the comments that are like, hey, take a stance for once. But legitimately on this, I didn't care which way this one swung whatsoever. Like, it is what it is to me. It's boring, but like I even put out a tweet as a joke. If we're just going to ban things that are boring, the Steelers aren't going to be allowed to play offense, or shouldn't have been allowed to play offense for the last half a decade at least. So I don't know. That's kind of my take on the one thing I will say. And like going back and watching this time and time again, I think they do a poor job of officiating on the play, because it seems like lane, especially that right side, like they are getting a jump on the play quite often, where I'm like, they could be called for a false start on this and it's not getting called. So like if they were to clean up that aspect of it, and it is a legit, like, and I don't have a question about that side of things on the procedure, then yeah, I mean, it's just one team that's mastered a play that's available for anybody else to do better than anybody else. So it stands for another cycle at least. I will say, with the way things are trending, I wonder if, like, you could see another two. It needs two more teams to flip, basically, for it to get banned. I wonder which direction we're going to go from here, I guess, is my next question. Like, do you think more teams are going to flip, or more teams get added to the other side to not be in favor of? I don't know.
I think the Eagles are going to look at those 10 teams that sided with them and be like, all right, don't run it against them. Don't run it against those 10 teams. They're safe.
Oh, meanwhile, they play the Packers are on their schedule again.
They're going to run it 50 times against the Packers. They should get up and just run nothing but tush push after that. Run the entire clock out on the whole second half of the game with one just tush push only drive. Be wonderful. I do think if you get a year away from the Eagles winning the Super Bowl, it starts to feel a little less icky to change the rule that that disadvantages them. You know what I'm saying? I do think there will be a possibility. Here's the other thing too, and I'm sure the league is not going to be happy with this thought process out there. But if the idea is, if you're another team and the idea is they won't overturn this because no one's ever been hurt doing it, I can fix that problem. Like, I just, like I hate to say that, but that is the way that somebody is going to approach this. Say, oh, you want some evidence that people can be hurt doing this? All right, bet. I definitely can see that happening.
Yeah. I started to think too, as you were saying that, like thinking, okay, more teams flipping towards being on the Eagles side of this, what we could see, because if you're going to have another year where this is in play, wonder how many teams are going to continue to obviously try to get better at it and build their team that way. If there are more teams that improve within that, maybe they get better at doing it, then maybe there's some flip there as well. So I'm curious to see the next time they do this. 22-10 was what it was this time, to keep in mind. It needs to be 24-8 to pass. So we'll see which direction this goes. Wasn't the only thing though that was put on the table. Actually, I find it funny. I guess it's just because of the, I don't know, information that they gathered prior to like the votes taking place. Detroit rescinding the playoff seeding thing that they wanted to put on the table before it actually got to voting, I found quite hilarious. What was your thought on that though, in general? Because I've seen this is something that I have seen strong takes on quite a bit.
Yeah, this is a disaster. This is a horrible idea.
Yeah, this one I do have a strong stance on.
You can't seed based on straight record when you have unbalanced schedules. The schedules are designed for divisional play primacy. That's the way that's why you play every team in your division twice. Mm-hmm. If you're not going to go by division winners, then you should not be playing every team in your division twice. In fact, you should just get rid of divisions. And there are 16 teams in the conference. You should be playing all 15 of your conference opponents every year, and then 2 games from the other side. That's if you want to get rid of the divisional component of play, fine. That's how you do it. And then you take the top 7 teams from the conference and you be done with it. if you want to keep rivalries and you want to keep divisional play, then this is the way it has to be. The proposal as it was put forward was nonsense and heinous, and I don't believe it had any real support at all. So yeah, I think that's why it was rescinded.
Not, I mean, everything that you said within there, honestly, were my thoughts as well. Just, it takes away from the division rivalries. Like, I mean, honestly, the thought of even getting rid of the divisions didn't enter my mind. But genuinely, if you're not going to have division winners be guaranteed a home playoff game, what would be the point of those divisions?
It shouldn't exist anymore. Like, that's the only reason. Like, you could do it that way. It would work. I don't think that. Why would that be better though?
Yeah, right. I just feel like if we had never had them, then I obviously wouldn't have the opinion that I do because I wouldn't have grown up watching that Steelers Ravens rivalry and stuff like that. But it's hard for me to feel like we should take away from the meaning of those division rivalries. And obviously, like, people talk about the Packers and Bears rivalries and how good that division potentially is going to be this year. I think there's going to be a ton of fireworks, and that's why the NFC East division is put on Hard Knocks this year. That should be a really fun division. Like, these divisions mean something, and they always have. To then all of a sudden make them mean less or nothing, I don't think it would make much sense, and I'm glad that it didn't even get put on the table. I'm curious as to how so the Lions were the team that put this, or we're going to put this on the table. I mean, for them to even feel this way to me is kind of odd, but I'm curious if there is like another even team or two that if you could give them some truth serum would have said they're on board with it.
So I was told that the reason it was tabled was that there was some teams that wanted them to amend it to change it so that you lose your home game if you don't get 9 wins.
Oh,
as a division winner. That was like a compromise proposal that some teams put forward to say, we'll do this, but only in an extreme case. Like, if there's a team that doesn't finish above 500, but still wins their division, they're not going to get to keep their home game. And Detroit for whatever reason, didn't want to do that. And so it wasn't going to pass without modification. They knew it wasn't close to passing without modification. So they just decided to withdraw it instead of, I don't know why. I don't know if they don't like that idea or what, but that was what some had put forth as a compromise proposal. I actually don't mind that. I think I'm okay with that. I think if you it's happened 6 times in NFL history that a team under 500 has won their division and made the playoffs.
Not since 17 games though, right? Because I mean, once
2022 Buccaneers. Tom Brady made the playoffs as a sub 500 quarterback. Yeah. I'm okay with that carve out. If you want to say that you have to get to 500 to keep your playoff game or keep your home game,
sure,
I'm okay with that. I think that's about the only that would be okay.
And then that would change though, obviously, like once it goes to which we assume is coming, that 18 games. What do you do at that point? Is it still 9?
It'd be 10. Then you'd have to win. Yeah, you'd have to have 7. What would it be 7 and 8 and 11? No, 8 and what would it be 9
and 10?
Yeah, you can.
That's what I'm saying. Does it 8 and 10? Or do you have to be 9 and 9?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. 8 and
that's what I'm saying. Like, it would need amended, obviously, once we go to the 18.
Yeah, that's not a big deal. But
yeah. But anyway, doesn't happen. The kickoff rule. Am I missing something? Are we talking about a difference of 1 yard here? Is that what I saw? The 35 to the 34.
The difference is just that before the attackers on the kickoff had to be behind the ball, and now they're moved up onto the ball.
Okay. All right.
So it used to be, it wasn't that they were on the 34. They could be anywhere. They just had to be behind the 1 yard behind the ball. Now they're allowed to be even with the ball.
Gotcha. How much of a difference do you feel like that's going to make?
None.
Yeah, that's what everybody was just quoting it and being like,
I didn't understand why there were restrictions about when you could declare an onside kick. I still don't understand why there are restrictions. Why are there restrictions about when you can declare an onside kick? Just declare an onside kick whenever you want. You have to declare it. Do it. Why not? I don't know. It doesn't.
I mean, wasn't the whole point of like a lot of these changes to like reinvigorate special teams and like the return phase of the game?
Yes.
I mean, do we feel like that's happening?
Yeah, I mean, I think the kick return phase was, but the problem with the hybrid kickoff, or whatever you want to call it, what they call it, dynamic kickoff, is that you can't really onside kick from that formation. So they basically had to have a carve out where it's like, all right, we go back to the old rules if you declare you're onside kicking it, but then you actually have to onside kick it. There's a better way.
Well, okay, so I guess that probably would have been a better way to ask it, is in terms of like, why are we restricting the special teams in that way? Like making, like, when you can declare things as opposed to just kind of being like free reign.
Yeah, because you can't onside kick from the dynamic kickoff alignment. Because the ball has to hit the ground inside the box, and the players are 15 yards in the box. Like, it's impossible to recover.
Well, no, I understand having to declare, but in terms of when they can.
Oh yeah, I don't understand when. Why when? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
If I think my team very similarly to the Eagles, if I'm a football coach and we practice onside kicks 50 times a practice all off season, and I want to go into a game and say we are never going to kick off. We're going to onside kick every kickoff of every game because we think we can recover half of them and therefore it's worth it. Why not? Why is that not allowed?
Yeah, I don't know. That was kind of my point. I know I didn't ask that the proper way, but that was kind of my point with like the special teams. If the idea is to make them as important as possible and kind of bring that life back into it, I just feel like there shouldn't be restrictions on it, such as that. But I don't know. We will see if it does have any impact in terms of the way that the little tweak there with the kickoff roll. The other thing to come out of this was the NFL introducing Protector of the Year award given to the league's best offensive lineman. Troy Vincent gave credit to Deion Dawkins, who was definitely very outspoken about it, as well as Andrew Whitworth for pushing the idea. This is pretty cool. I think it's something, one of the most underappreciated parts of the game is the trenches, and yet it's the part of your team that you should probably build before you do anything else. So I absolutely think that this should have been coming down the pipeline, well overdue, and glad to see it introduced.
I'm glad that the media is not voting on this because I don't trust our opinions about offensive line play. I'm glad that this is going to be former players voting on this. Otherwise, it's just going to be the PFF award because dumb writers that don't know ball are just going to go sort the tab, and the less influence that company has on the league, the better.
It was the best grade. Yeah. I am interested to see. So how is it going to be determined?
It's a panel of former offensive linemen that will pick.
Okay.
Very similarly to the Walter Payton Award, which is like the former winners pick it, but you can't start with former winners, obviously. So like they're picking a bunch of, notable former offensive linemen right now. And then I assume it'll eventually be the former winners of the award.
Love it. Well, I as my tweet said, I want to, in advance congratulate Zach Frazier on winning at least one of these over the course of his career.
I think he will. I think he should have been in the Pro Bowl last year. I said that. And I don't think it'll be long before he is.
All right, these are not related at all to what we've already been discussing, but Devin and Brooke have been waiting.
Wait, we got one more piece of news before we go.
Go ahead.
We got to talk about the transaction.
Oh yeah, that's
Steelers
right.
have signed guard Nick Broker from the Houston Texans. He was waived on May 9th. A 6'4" and 3/8, 305-pound offensive lineman from Ole Miss. Played tackle for 3 years at Ole Miss, moved to guard. It went well. Got drafted in the 7th round by the Bills. Didn't make the team. Texans claimed him off waivers. Played 12 games over the last 2 years for the Texans. And the great Ed Thompson, man, like this guy's played 12 NFL games. He's been in the league for 2 years. I'm like, oh, we got a picture of him from that preseason game last year. There it is, Nick. Like, that's so good, so good.
Yeah, you love to see it.
This is just a depth signing. I don't know that he's anything more than a backup. I don't even know if I like him as much as I like Lasita Smith, who was waived yesterday, cleared waivers today, by the way. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Very athletic. That's the one thing that sort of stands out about him. 8.21 on the RAS out of 10.
transition from tackle to guard, you think that's the spot for sure for him then? Or is there maybe some versatility there where like he could play tackle? And, we talked obviously a lot with Gareth yesterday about the versatility of being able to play at both spots. So
I would assume he's just a guard.
Okay.
With maybe like a break glass in case of emergency idea.
Like, hey,
but
you have done this before, so
yeah.
Not necessarily at a good enough level to not have to transition to guard though. So I think that says something within itself. But yeah, we'll see what comes of this move. If he can make the 53. Going to be some interesting battles to watch, obviously, across the offensive line. Not quite the amount of quality depth that I would say that they had last year, going obviously before the injury started to take place. But it'll still be interesting to watch how that plays out. All right, anyways, so Devin here, and this is going back to last week, Alan, but Devin, very complimentary based on your amazing article written on Steelers Now regarding the salary cap update.
Again, this is how you get your stuff read.
This is textbook from Devin. In the roles of having to spend at least 90% of the cap, how will the Steelers be able to do that with the main free agents out there? Also, is it better to keep TJ's salary cap up for this year and just have more freedom next year to make big free agency moves?
We got some breaking news. Hold on. I don't want to interrupt Devin, but the Steelers have agreed to a contract with Derek Harmon.
Oh, okay.
So $17.97 million per
well,
Tom.
I'm not going to say that's great, but I was expecting a little bit more, flashy.
17.973604. Got it to the 04 there. That's how you know you got a really good source there, Tom.
Okay. Yeah.
So okay.
Way to not be Shamar Stewart there, Derek Harmon.
There you go. Yeah.
Anyways.
All right. So give me this again. Sorry.
No, understandable. Derek Harmon locked in. Devin locked in on this podcast based on your amazing article written on Steelers Now regarding the salary cap update, the roles of having to spend at least 90% of the cap. How will the Steelers be able to do that with what's remaining in free agency? Also, do you think it'd be better to keep TJ's salary cap hit up this year because of that and just have more freedom next year to make big free agency moves?
Yes. So the 90% rule means that teams have to spend 90% of the cap on a rolling 3-year average. The Steelers are well below that figure right now. I don't think they'll have a problem getting there. TJ's contract will certainly do a lot to get them there. And then I think the second part of the question is interesting. Usually the answer is no, because as the cap goes up, you're rolling over $1 for $1. But really, you're rolling over $1 out of, let's just round the numbers. Let's say the cap this year is $275 million, and next year goes up to $300 million. Well, one of 275 is worth more than one of 300, but you're only getting $1 for $1 when you roll them over. So it's almost always better to spend them now than to save them for later. Now, you shouldn't waste them now just to spend them, but a better idea is to, like, really what the Steelers should be doing is finding a way to backload this TJ Watt contract so that those dollars that they're spending cost them less later, and then also find a way to spend the rest of their cap this year on stuff that's going to be useful. We'll see if they're able to do that. If they're not able to do that, then they can roll some over. Yeah. But
yeah,
front load. Front loading is almost always a bad idea. The same reason, like you want to spend the money cheaply. So like it's like an interest-free loan by spreading out money over years, because that dollar is going to be worth less in the future than it is right now.
Was there any information not within that quick synopsis that was in that article that Devin is referencing that we were missing here?
About the salary cap?
Yeah.
No, I mean, the Steelers are in good cap space. They have a lot of money. They can kind of really do what they want. They can sign Aaron Rodgers. They can trade for a wide receiver. They can even probably sign Asante Samuel too. Like there's plenty of money there. And they can even make more. They can restructure contracts. Like Alex Highsmith, Pat Fryermuth. They can save some money if they want to cut Cordell Patterson and Dean Lowry. There's lots of ways to save money there. So, I think the cap is not really an issue for the Steelers right now, and they can kind of just go about their business. The Watt extension will definitely get them to that 90% rule, or at least within shouting distance of it, so that it's not an issue. I do expect them to be active in free agency again in 2026. I think they're going to spend a lot of money next year as it rolls back around.
Yeah, I think when people are looking at this year's free agency, like people kind of keep forgetting, like, DK Metcalf getting a new contract after the trade is part of the business that took place. Like, I just see a lot of people talk about how they didn't do anything or didn't do much.
Well, they didn't, and part of that is the comp pick thing, right? Like they're getting themselves a chance at a quarterback with those comp picks. They decided that was more valuable than being able to spend every single penny that they could have spent this year.
Yeah. Well, I guess we had heightened expectations for what they were going to spend. Like we thought there was like a big fish in free agency that they potentially would have spent.
Yeah, it didn't happen, and I think
it came via trade.
The comp picks is the reason why. I think and that's why it had to come in a trade, because Metcalf doesn't count against the comp pick formula.
Yeah, right. And neither does Darius Slay, neither would Aaron Rodgers. So very intentional in terms of all these moves. Speaking of Aaron Rodgers, obviously plays the quarterback position. That's kind of where Brooklyn wanted to go with her question here. Kind of in regards to Will Howard, but honestly just QBs in general and evaluating them. Like, how do we know, or how does anybody know what a player is going to be when they enter the NFL? Like, is it too harsh to cast these aspersions and make these long-term projections for what a player is going to be before we actually see them step on a field? I think this was honestly, I know for sure based off the conversation I had with her when she asked the question, this is largely in reference to kind of the way that Dan Orlovsky has talked about the Steelers quarterback situation, but definitely wanted to get your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, you don't ever know what's going to happen in the future, but if you're good at this, you can have a pretty good idea of what is likely to happen. Mm-hmm. And so, like, there are always edge cases. There are always things that happen that were unlikely. And we shouldn't discount the idea. In fact, I try really hard to not discount the idea that unlikely things can happen. But we should also, like, it's also just a bad practice to count on them happening. I think that's one of the big differences between like fan thinking and like team thinking, is that like the fans are perfectly okay with and should certainly operate on hope. If a team operates on hope, it's dumb. Like that's a bad process. You can't operate like this guy might work out. You should assume that the guy is about as good as the talent level that got him drafted in the 6th round. If he turns out to be more than that, great. That's awesome. That's a bonus. But you can't go through life in a business expecting small percentages to pay off. It's one thing to hope for him as a fan, but you shouldn't expect them from a business standpoint.
So I guess from that standpoint, do you feel like there's been any misstep here? Because I think there's a lot of people that feel like there has been a misstep with the construction of this quarterback room. So do you feel like there just wasn't that option available? Does it largely depend on if Aaron Rodgers does end up signing? Would that change the opinion here? What's your take?
I mean, I'm assuming that Aaron Rodgers is going to sign. I think he's about the best they could do. I don't, So
is that more than because we just talked about obviously with hope, is that more, does that fall into that same bucket or no? Is that because you feel more strongly about that? Because I would say there's part of me that thinks that there's some hope within that, not necessarily Aaron signing, but there to a degree is, but also the level that he is going to play at, even should he sign.
I don't think so. I mean, I think the aging curve is coming. How the aging curve is going to fall on any individual player is very difficult to project. We should assume that at 42, Aaron Rodgers is going to be worse than he was last year. Like that should be the assumption. How much worse? Yeah, I don't know. It's, he might even be better. Like, that's not likely. We shouldn't count on that, but it's possible.
Well, I mean, we've thrown out the scenarios where that happens, obviously, where he does find the fountain of youth or rejuvenation further away from that Achilles injury. Obviously, like there's a scenario, not a likely one for sure. There's also a scenario where, the other part of that is obviously Will Howard playing this year. We've seen how many times we've seen 3 quarterbacks play and lights it up. Do I believe that that's likely? No, but I think it's within the realm of possibilities that could take place in 2025. To the 6th round thing, like I know a lot of people will say, well, he probably should have gone earlier than that. And I agree. But even as a 4th round player, I'm still looking at that as probably most likely outcome as a backup quarterback in the NFL.
Yeah, and there's good reason. Like, it's not like he fell to the 6th round for no reason whatsoever, right? Like, there's real questions about his arm, about his throwing mechanics, about his footwork. He's not the most accurate quarterback in the world. Like, there's a lot of reasons to think that it might not work. And the other thing, and I answered this question. We had a question in the comments yesterday that I answered in the comments, but I think a lot of people see the success at the college football level and just assume that that's going to translate. Like, winning at Ohio State doesn't mean anything. In fact, it's sort of a meme that like Ohio State quarterbacks have never done anything in the NFL until very recently. There's been, and in fact, before very recently, Alabama quarterbacks notoriously not that great at the NFL level. So like, and I don't like that scouting. It's bad scouting, but like when you're the quarterback of an extraordinarily talented team across the board, like Ohio State didn't win the national championship because of Will Howard. And there are probably 100 quarterbacks in college football that could have won a national championship if you made them the starter of Ohio State. Like that's just the facts.
I would say SEC, if you think about college football, is the first conference that people think about, right?
Yeah.
Top 4 players in SEC history in terms of total offense: Aaron Murray, Drew Lock, Tim Tebow, Jackson Dart.
Yeah, and I think I've gone over the overall leaders. The NCAA, single season passing. It's like it's a wasteland of guys that have never done anything and never will. And so Bailey Zappi, BJ Simons, Graham Harrell, Case Keenum, 1 through 4, and Joe Burrow in there at 5th. But like, yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean anything. The college success means nothing. I actually was on Locked On with Chris or this week, and this guy's like, "Don't you guys watch college football?" I'm like, watching college football doesn't help you learn about what this guy is all about, really. If you're just paying attention to the results, I mean, you got to be able to find the skill set in the film, not just the wins and the losses and the yards, because the wins and the losses and the yards don't mean anything.
Right. What translate, what doesn't. There's a lot to it. And I'm not going to pretend that I'm very good at finding it either. But that's why I'm sitting here recording a podcast with Alan Saunders Monday through Friday. Alan, tell the people where they can find you.
Are we done already? Wow, that was fast. _PGH on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. PGH Steelers Now as a sites account. SteelersNow.com. Go there, read the words so I can get paid, and sign up for SN Plus so you can read the words without ads, and also get access to our monthly subscribers only live stream. And we'll come up with some other stuff the rest of this offseason to dangle out there for those SN Plus subscribers, because it really means a lot to us. It's the reason that we can do a lot of cool things and be in a lot of cool places for you guys. So we definitely want to make that as rewarding as possible. If you guys have an idea, something you'd like for subscribers only, go leave a comment. Let us know what you're thinking. And of course, you can like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications here on the YouTube platform. That is free and also helps us out a ton. And we are at 15,700. And man, I don't want to go with the obvious one here. Sean Spence. No, it moved. It's 55 now. All right.
That has an obvious one too.
That also has an obvious one.
Oh, Arthur Moats.
Oh, that's a very good one. I'm struggling here. 55.
Yep.
Stevenson Sylvester.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
There you go. Cole Holcomb, of course, right now. Joey Porter, the obvious one.
Yeah. All right. Let us know your favorite 55 in Steelers history. I'm assuming there won't be many Devin Bush answers in the comments.
Yeah, I was avoiding that one
down below. But do like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Hit us in the comments with your favorite 55, question for a future episode, your thought on anything that we talked about on this episode, all that good stuff. If you're listening somewhere else,
go back to our previous.
Yeah, that's who I said was the
conversation about nicknames, though. I don't think we.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, that's sweet. Yeah, I don't know if anybody in the comments did. Because we had a lot of somebody responded with it just exactly what I knew was going to happen. By the way, as they got further in the episode, they realized we brought up other ones there and they said, "I'm not deleting my comments," but appreciate that. Apple, Spotify, wherever your podcast from, leave a 5-star review and subscribe over there. Just search through his afternoon drive. Do the same thing over on TikTok, and then you'll find me everywhere. Zachary Smith, PGH, for Alan Saunders and myself. Thanks for jumping in. Take another ride on the Steelers afternoon drive.